Every so often, I pick up the BlackBerry Q10 we have here at the office, and I'm captivated by a few really compelling features. A handful of advantages that make me want to carry a BlackBerry again as my daily driver. But then I'm confronted by some of the things the platform can't do, and I'm reminded of just why it can't be my daily driver. Well, those ups and downs have been ported almost entirely to BlackBerry's new flagship, the Z30, and that's what we're here to talk about. I'm Michael Fisher, this is Pocketnow, this is the BlackBerry Z30, and here's what we love and what we don't. It's always kind of a bummer to end a video on a list of downers, so for this one, we're going to get the bad stuff out of the way first. Some of this will be familiar to those of you who've seen our reviews of BlackBerry's Z10 and Q10. For new viewers, follow us on the feeds so you don't miss future videos from Pocketnow. On the software side, the number one sticking point with BB10 continues to be, say it with me, the apps. I know we're beating a dead horse here, so we won't dwell on this, but even in the curated front-page view of the BlackBerry app world, there's just not much here. It's not like the situation with Windows Phone, which has managed to fill many of the high-profile slots. Here, there are still big gaps, with a lot of big-name titles missing. So while you might be okay if the Z30 is your first smartphone, if you're coming from any other ecosystem, you're going to be sorely disappointed in the lack of native apps. And speaking of native titles, even some of the out-of-the-box software needs work. For every wonderfully crafted app, like the clock or the compass, there's something like Maps, which is just horrid in terms of functionality and friendliness. Voice control is still thin on features, and speech-to-text is hit and miss at best. Little things like text manipulation are more cumbersome than they should be, and some no-brainer features like Mark All as Read in the Hub are still, annoyingly, non-existent. We've been waiting almost a year for BlackBerry to fix some of these, and the wait is getting a little old. In exchange for these shortcomings, though, BlackBerry 10 gives you one of the most fluid and fun interfaces around. Granted, that's an opinion from an admitted fan of gestures, but even if you're new to swiping your way through your smartphone, rather than just tapping, BlackBerry's approach is more intuitive than some others. Using the Z30 has a flow to it that's efficient and enjoyable all at once, a combination I haven't experienced since the glory days of Palm's WebOS. And the app gap is a bit easier to deal with if you're willing to do a little legwork. The latest version of BlackBerry 10's Android runtime supports Jelly Bean apps, and thanks to the awesome BlackBerry developer and fan community, particularly at crackberry.com, it's relatively easy to sideload those apps onto your device. Tinkerers will be pleased to hear that many major titles are available, with more coming at a regular clip. And if your app needs are basic, you might be able to find a gap filler without resorting to APKs. Apollo is a good example, a third-party app for Pandora which does a really nice job. And even if you're stuck using native shortcuts like the browser for YouTube, there's still a silver lining here. Audio continues to play while the video is minimized, making multitasking just a little bit easier.
Very different times. Back then, slide-out curated keyboards, and stylus-on-resistant touchscreens, and Microsoft's Windows Mobile operating system were important.
So, from the comprehensive and quick system-wide search, to the intelligent active frames that minimize apps into de facto widgets, to the new lock screen notification previews and the new notification banners, to the outstanding predictive text of the software keyboard, to the hub, which ties it all together, BlackBerry 10 is a very smart, very easy-to-use interface that makes a lot of sense, and one which, frankly, doesn't get the respect it deserves. One of the reasons for that may be due to BlackBerry's hardware, which was pretty unremarkable on the Z10, and unfortunately, even less remarkable on the Z30. While the newer device adds a little bit of personality to what essentially resembled reference hardware on the Z10, it's not an exciting personality. The rounded corners conflict with the bright line delineation of the silver chin, and the 170-gram mass makes it seem fatter than it actually is at 9.4 millimeters. The design is neither inspired complexity nor elegant simplicity. It's just there. It looks more like a generic smartphone from 2 years ago, rather than the new flagship of a resurgent platform. Even the glass weave on the back can't save it from its near total blandness. Fortunately, aesthetics are relative. And if you find the Z30's casing appealing, well, there's a lot to like within it, too. First of all, it's comfortable to hold. That soft back and the rounded corners make for a nice in-hand feel despite the weight. The 5-inch Super AMOLED display may only be 720p, but it renders gorgeous colors. The battery's embedded, but it's a big one at over 2800 mAh. There's a removable micro SD card for storing media and photos taken with the 8-megapixel camera, which doesn't like exposure extremes and could use a friendlier viewfinder, but it does a nice job in most lighting conditions. And little touches, like the dedicated mute and voice command key, and of course the traditional red notification LED, round out a phone that gets the job done in a uniquely BlackBerry kind of way. The Z30 isn't for everyone, but neither is it for no one. There's a lot here that's easy to like, and a lot more that makes us hopeful for what BlackBerry might show us in 2014. Folks, that's my last video for 2013. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for a lot of coverage in 2014, starting with CES 2014. Please join us for that. Visit us at Pocketnow.com. And before you go anywhere, please drop us a like and leave a comment if you have something to say. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for watching all of our videos this year. If there are a few you missed, you know where to find them. But sincerely, thank you very much for your support, and we'll see you next year.